Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a game between me and Schoonie here on Metalopolis. We have Schoonie spawning as the blue Protoss player, meanwhile I'm spawning as the red Terran player here on Metalopolis at the 1 o'clock position against the 3 o'clock position, or the 2 o'clock position. Essentially, both of us, this is possibly the best starting location for a Terran player against Protoss if you want to do Reaper harassment. So I go ahead and I try to open up with the Reaper harassment here on Metalopolis. Normally I do not do a Reaper harassment, but I was feeling a little bit daring trying to get this barracks. Now I'm going to get this barracks down and be able to jump down this cliff and then be able to jump in over here. Schoonie, on the other hand, opening up with the standard pylon build. I'm gonna be getting the chrono boosting those nexus, chrono boosting that nexus in order to get a better economy. That gateway will be a little bit delayed, but it should not affect him too much in terms of the overall gameplay. So in comes that gateway being completed, and now gonna go ahead and get some additional probes as well. Back over here, barracks is nearly completed, getting a supply depot and also almost getting enough gas for that refinery in order to get that tech lab. So this build is a 9 Reaper build. Some players have been talking about an 8 Reaper build. I will have to take a look at that. I have not seen what an 8 Reaper build actually looks like. Back over here, we already have the Vespene geyser down and now getting the second pylon in order to increase that food limit. Out comes this SCV. So SCV gonna be doing some scouting, trying to figure out where exactly my opponent is. Reapers now being trained up. So Reapers with that 40 build time, taking their sweet time essentially to be built. Back over here we have Schoonie wanting to make sure that it is not a cross spawn. And this is how much of the map Schoonie has seen. So he does not know exactly where I am yet. Back over here we have a cybernetics core already being warped in. So that cybernetics core being warped in as well will enable Schoonie to get that early stalker. That early stalker is essential, absolutely essential in dealing with this early Reaper harassment. So out I come with this Reaper, gonna go ahead and jump onto that high ground and then start trying to take down some of these probes. However, he has not started building that one stalker yet, and I'm able to get off a couple kills. So looking at the harvester count, with his chrono boost, he still has a significant advantage over me, down to 17 harvesters, as I'm trying to continue to use this Reaper to try to focus down some of these units. I want to get that last probe kill, but unable to, as that he's able to micro down that last unit. Gonna go ahead and continue to focus down some more of these units. However, that stalker is gonna be popping out and then gonna be able to take down one of my Reapers, I believe. No, not able to take down any of my Reapers. 17 to 15 in terms of the harvester count. However, Schoonie now at tier 2. I'm going to go ahead and drop down another barracks, and now I'm trying to mass up marauders. Probably should have built the barracks over here now that I think about it, as those marauders are taking an extra long time to be able to walk and join in on this fight. Schoonie has only a single stalker, while I have two Reapers and a single marauder. So that marauder is going to be dealing 20 damage a shot against those stalkers if they are in an all-out fist fight. Robotics facility now being laid down by Schoonie. So Schoonie getting that robotics facility in order to perhaps produce some immortals. So Schoonie going for one gate into robotics facility, should be getting the second gateway sometime soon. I do a scanner sweep to make sure what exactly his strategy is. The second gateway now being warped in. Down over here, I'm trying to use Reapers, trying to get a couple of these kills off, able to get one kill. However, he's able to focus down that last Reaper, so not a fair trade there. I was able to get one probe for one Reaper. I have, in fact, one single Marauder, and now I'm macroing up as many Marauders as I can. Probably going to getting the second gas in a moment in order to be able to use Stim Pack and continue researching. So double Marauders being trained up, Marauders moving very slowly, and Metalopolis, a much larger map when you have to walk the full distance. Army-wise, I'm sitting on 350 against Schoonie's 375, so both of us fairly even. However, Schoonie has more harvesters. SCVs continuing to mine, trying to get some more gas as well as these units are going to go ahead and head up that ramp. Observer already out for Schoonie, so Schoonie already with that observer going to go ahead and do some scouting. Schoonie still does not know where I am on this map, so he does not know that I am in fact in a little bit of a close spawn position. More Marauders being macroed up. I believe the stim pack research is now being upgraded as well, as Schoonie has a couple Stalkers and a couple Sentries against my 4 Marauders and a single Reaper. Pylon now being warped in, perhaps for some additional warp in. Warp in now completed, so going off of a 2-gate, now 3-gate, and in comes this fight, able to focus down one of those units fairly easily, and now trying to focus down the last Reaper, or that last Zealot as well. However, I'm losing in this army, or in this fight here, not able to get that last Zealot. Zealot down to 10 hit points, and me not really engaging. Army units still being walked on over, so I'm at a 600 food army with 6 Reapers, but 2 Reapers currently being walked in, so he does have a larger army there with 3 Stalkers, 3 Sentries, and a single Zealot, also warping in some additional units. I have more Harvesters at this stage in the game, but still not quite enough. More Marauders hugging that edge a little bit too closely, and now that probe coming down, trying to fight up this ramp side, trying to focus down some of these units. Sentry is a much better counter to Marauders than previously thought. Able to get down a couple of these Sentries, trying to focus down that last Sentry. Sentry down to 4 hit points. For some reason I don't turn around and shoot it. Army-wise, I'm down to 400 against 900. And I think this is one of those instances where I was just playing too aggressive. I could have tried to contain my opponent in his base, perhaps get some siege tanks on this low ground, not go for mass Marauders. And now getting a reactor on my factory in order to get mass-produced medics. Now finally we do see that my opponent Schoonie does know where I am, as he has an observer in my base. So that observer just walking around, able to do some scouting. Reactor now being placed down. Army-wise, I'm sitting at 600 against his 1200, and he's able to continue to just warp in more and more units. So Stalkers warped in, Sentries warped in, and in addition to that, Immortal Command Center now nearing completion, as I want to get some sort of economic advantage. And now also trying to get some medevacs as well. So I'm thinking that if I have medevacs, I will be able to push on this high ground. However, I should have known earlier that based upon that scanner sweep, he has a very, very strong army. And with a stronger army, he should not have as many Harvesters as I do. I have the stronger economy, and now that I have an additional command center, I could have just macroed up a little bit more, played a little bit more defensively in my base, and perhaps won the game by pure macro. Starport now creating those 2 medevacs. I'm running off of 3 barracks. The barracks, however, not producing any units, and my army is significantly smaller than his, sitting at 1,000 versus 1675. Need to get this siege tank on this high ground in order to be able to push back any of these units. Now I want to do a little bit of a drop. However, a Phase Prism now going to be coming into my base. Phase Prism coming into my base, dropping in some additional Zealots. I'm going to go ahead and drop these Marauders instead. Marauders quickly getting taken down. Those Zealots quickly getting taken down, and now going to go ahead and hop back into that medevac and perhaps try to push on out. The Phase Prism back in that base as well. There's a couple of Stalkers, a couple Sentries in position, and those Sentries now moving in to intercept my Marauders. So Marauders now being stimmed and now trying to do a little bit of engagement. Force Field now being pushed up, and that's just too much of an army. I should have just tried to pull out. However, I let my units needlessly die, and Schoonie able to macro up a much larger army than I was capable of. A couple Marauders still being produced. A single medevac in the air, or a double medevacs being replaced, but for the medevacs that I lost earlier. And now Schoonie also getting an expansion of his own. I'm sitting on more Harvesters, but because I haven't transferred any SCVs over, which I should have done now that I think about it, I am significantly behind, and now we have these Stalkers going to go ahead and move up this ramp, and we also have a Phase Prism moving on my back door, as well as these Stalkers and Sentries going to go ahead and push on in. 2,075 army versus my 850, and because I'm so behind in tech, Schoonie will just be able to roll over my front door and completely take me out. I was focusing down that Immortal when I pretty much should have been focusing down these Stalkers, and I say GG. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys learned at least what not to do in my perspective as a Terran player. a couple of my issues was I did not macro up enough of an army. I didn't get siege tanks, especially on Metalopolis, where siege tanks here and here would have played a fairly significant role. I could place a siege tank here and then pretty much still cover this whole entire pathway, making sure I got a couple shots in on these zealots and those stalkers without those stalkers being able to hit me. Coming back, I should have transferred some of my SCVs over here. I finally do, but I don't have enough of a macro, and that is ultimately what cost me the game. Once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 here on Metalopolis.